Hi, I wanted to talk a little bit about why Down Gaming is so good. Not only about their players, but which is obviously world class and probably some of the best players in each position. But I wanted to talk a little bit about their drafting, and this is the first game against G2 in the semifinals, and you can see um, we can take a look at the bans. They banned Shan because G2 is known to flex Shan. Volibear was quite strong as and also one of the top lane for Wonder as well as I assume jungle for Jankos and also obviously Orange just because it's a power pick. But what is quite interesting with this draft and obviously red side should have a huge advantage I think in this world is because Down Gaming has such a big champion pool that a lot of teams has to ban certain champions, like G2 did. They have to ban Camille. They kind of have to ban Nidalee as well as Syndra. Those three champions are probably the three best champions that Down Gaming can actually play. And it's quite interesting that One Gaming actually let through Lucian, and I'm gonna talk shortly about Lucian because throughout Worlds, a lot of games they actually banned Lucian on red side because he was looked at kind of the OP flex. He was so strong in mid lane, didn't have really any bad matchups, and also you can arguably flex him into top lane if you got the right matchup, especially on red side, and also down and bot, but that's a little bit more iffy. So Downward Gaming actually gives away what was considered really OP, but the problem is that Downward Gaming has an excellent reply to letting through letting through Lucian. And also it's important to notice that there are a lot of powerful farming junglers and junglers in World or this patch is fucking broken. If you get a if you get a camp lead as a jungler, you can snowball that exponentially because it's so much XP you get. And also if you get ahead, the snowball is gonna be huge because there is no catch-up XP anymore in the jungle, which it used to be way back, or not way back, but back. And it's also important to notice when you pick Lucian, it's obviously an AD champion, and that kind of forces you to pick an AP jungler. And if you pick an AP jungler, the only power farming jungle that's kind of left is either Lilia and you could argue that maybe Evelyn, but I don't think Jankos is an Evelyn player, and therefore I think it's really important to notice that when we give Lucian, the only power farming jungle that's left is Lilia, and you haven't seen Jankos play it that much. So you can just by that on red side, Downward Gaming can get two really powerful, comfortable picks in the meta, and they will know that G2 kind of has to pick Lilia on the second rotation on their blue side. And Downward Gaming is known to blind pick TF, and it's on blue side, and they will pick a blind on red side as well. And it's a really powerful champion in general, and especially since Downward Gaming is so freakishly good at playing the map and putting pressure. So it's quite interesting to see G2 actually letting TF be open, but obviously Lucian will have a priority in that lane and can put pressure. So when we go through, they will probably pick Jhin, one of Ghost's best champions, also really strong in the meta, and I assume they will blind pick TF. Because TF is Showmaker's, well, I wouldn't say best champion, but at least top three without any doubt. Yeah, and you can see they obviously blind pick the TF, and then a G2 has to pick Lilia unless Jankos plays Eve or something they want to watch. Wait, but they have to pick the jungler second rotation, otherwise Down One Gaming can pick they can pick Lilia, and it's interesting because with the first pick Lucian you would assume Lucian going into mid lane, and then you need an AP jungler, a farming one, because they are the strongest. You could argue SOFM picked J4 and shit the Lee Sin and tank, but they have a really unique play style that nobody else can emulate. So it's quite certain they will pick Lilia, unless they have the pocket pick Eve. And because they pick Lilia, Lilia needs to get ahead. She clears fast and she needs to get ahead. So if you look at all the other power farming junglers, it's Graves, it's Kindred, and it's Hecarim, arguably, and Lilia, right? So now Down Gaming is gonna pick one of those junglers, and it and all of them are AD, which suits well with the TF line pick as well. And G2 decides then to pick the Renekton because they want a strong match up top. Because junglers in this meta is so freakishly strong, they want to have priority in their lanes, so the enemy, so your jungler can go and invade. So the idea is that Lucian will have priority, Renekton will have prio, and Lilia can walk around taking camps from whatever jungler Down One Gaming is picking. But it's quite interesting they blind pick Renekton now, but they assume they want to have the priority. And obviously it's hard to get prio into a Jin lane unless you get an insanely good support matchup. So we can see what Down One Gaming is picking. I assume they will pick a farming jungle. In this case, they did pick the Hecarim, which I think is actually quite brilliant. Because when they pick Hecarim, Lilia will clear faster, but she needs to be ahead. If Lilia at some point is not ahead in the early mid game, she will be so freakishly useless compared to Hecarim. Because Lilia want to poke, and there you see they take second rotation before the ban, pick Hecarim. And this is actually really, really interesting what they do, because unless Renekton and Lucian get insanely prio in mid-top, Lilia cannot invade the Hecarim on the top side of the map, and then Hecarim won't be behind. And when Hecarim hits a level 11, it doesn't matter if Lilia is ahead, if it's unless it's like insanely far ahead. Also, because obviously Jin can start with his ult, and then Hecarim runs in, and Lilia doesn't um, gives a lot unless some poke and utility. Um, so by drafting like this, Damwon Gaming assures their late game, so they will outscale really hard, and it put a lot of pressure on G2 to actually come far ahead in the early mid game, otherwise they will lose. And take a look, they banned the Ashe because they assume it's Lucian mid. So there goes another strong pick into the Jin, or you can argue it's a skill matchup, but it's one of the better. They banned the Cannon from Noguri. He's a known Cannon player, or Korean players in general, because Cannon can also have pressure in the Renekton lane, which is quite important. And you will see that it's all about who can has the priority in lanes. And they banned the Tom Kench, so just to get rid of him, so he doesn't save everyone. And they banned the Pantheon, like Barrel is known for his Pantheon. And it's also important to remove one of those champions, because Pantheon Jin or Pantheon whatever, basically AD carry that has quite a lot of damage, will have a lot of pressure in that lane. So they remove also a comfort champion. And take a look at what Damwon Gaming actually picking. And this is actually quite beautiful, I think, because they know the top lane, they know probably the mid lane, and the jungle. So they pick GP here, and they wait for the support pick as a counter pick. And this is actually quite genius, because GP will not be pushed in by Renekton that much. It will be an even lane state, and he will scale infinite more than a Renekton. And it's not even certain that Renekton will have the prio in top lane. And there you can see Lucian will have prio, might have prio in the TF, but it's really risky for Lilia to start invading topside because she might not even get prio from top, and also when TF is 6, she has to stop invading topside and arguably bot side as well because TF can just follow and kill her. And just by looking at the draft, G2 has to win early, but when TF is 6, it's so risky for Lilia to invade, um, and then you can see the Hecarim will just start catching up, maybe be a little bit CS or camps behind, but not that much, and that one game will outscale them really hard. And to be certain, they give Down One Gaming make sure to get a counter pick support, which is also genius. So just take a look at what G2 is doing here. They should pick a really strong support and they should pick a good AD carry. The problem is that also Perks is also doesn't have that big of a AD carry pool, and it's kind of interesting because if they take Illusion bot, which they did this game, I don't think that is so good because obviously Jhin, Lucian Rakan will not kill a Jhin and a counter pick support. But the only AD carry that is left is actually S, but a S Rakan or S any support basically uh, will not will never have prio into a Jhin. So in that case, if they pick S and a support now, they will be shoved in by the counter pick support and Jhin. They might not have prio in mid lane and they will not get the prio in top lane. And where the fuck is Lilia gonna invade then? Lilia needs to have prio in the lane. She needs to get ahead, and she can only get ahead of the Hecarim if she has prio so she can invade. And I think that is one of the problems with G2 draft is they showed their draft too early. Yeah, they got what was arguably the strongest pick in Lucian, but then they telegraphed they had to pick Lilia, right? And when they picked Lilia, they had to pick a strong top lane, and they blind picked Renekton because obviously they have to pick a lane as blue side anyway, so they try to get prio there, and then they are really early mid game centric. And by drafting how they did, Downward Gaming um, arguably even got prio in most of their lanes, so Hecarim never needs to be worried about actually being invaded, which is quite interesting. And here you see, because of this, they actually pick Sylas. Sylas is a good pick or a fine pick into TF, and you can see from the draft it's a lot of alts Sylas can take. And they pick Rakan, so it's Lucian Rakan is a strong lane, but they will never have prio into a Jhin because Damwon Gaming has the counter pick, right? And since they pick actually Sylas in mid lane, Damwon Gaming will have prio in mid. They could arguably get prio in top lane, and they will have prio in bot lane. And Lilia needs to get ahead. How the fuck is she gonna even be able to do anything this game? She will farm, yeah, she will be slightly ahead in CS, but she can never invade early on because she will have no prio in any lanes, and then she has to gank, but she will be completely useless. She can poke, Lucian can ult, sure, but GP ults, Hecarim ults, and they just die. And the Downward Gaming heavily outscale in this team composition as well. And you can see the last pick, just to be certain that Lucian Rakan will not get prio. Um, Here Downward Gaming actually pick something else. They're gonna pick Leona here, which is a soft counter into Rakan, which I really like, and also they have the Jhin, so Rakan has to be really careful about when he engage, otherwise he might just die in lane. Or also for later, Leona has a lot of engage tools. You have the GP ult, you have the Jhin ult starting up with GP, and then Leona ult come and Hecarim ult, and Damwon Gaming outscale it so heavily. So unless G2 actually snowball the early game, they probably will just lose flat on 30 minutes. And there is actually no way for G2 to actually get early dregs either because um, Downward Gaming has prio in all the lane except arguably top lane. Renekton might get prio in top lane, but he shouldn't. Damwon Gaming will definitely have prio in mid lane early on, and they will definitely have prio in bot lane. So Hecarim will just be able to free farm. It's like a dream for Canyon. He doesn't need to be worried about getting invaded ever, except level 1 if G2 does a really good level 1. And this is why I think it's so difficult to play against a team like Damwon Gaming because of their champion pool, and the coaching staff is so smart when they draft. G2 has to ban those three champions more or less because Damwon Gaming is so strong, and it's just open up. And what I really like, they give away what's arguably the strongest champion in Lucian in this world, but by giving away Lucian, you get two really strong champions that probably gonna have prio in many lanes, in Jin and also TF because they banned away Ashe, right? And then you you know they're gonna pick Lilia unless they're gonna pick Eve because they need an AP jungler. And you can also see, I think G2 recognizes that, oh shit, we're gonna give Lucian bot, and Caps is like, give me Sylas. It's a lot of good alts I can steal. But the problem then is that TF will be the one with prio, and Lila is not going to be a champion. Hecarim is just going to roll over her. At when Hecarim has Trinity Force, he's just going to roll over the whole team more or less. And that one gaming is scaling so freakishly good as well. And G2 can never get the dregs. And and as a side point, it's really important by picking Sylas. Obviously, it's a lot of good alts you can steal, and I mean Sylas scales really hard late game, but Showmaker can just rush Murktreads, and it's not much they can do because it's double AP mid and jungle. So he gets so freakishly much value out of those boots, and he should never die. He should never ever die to Sylas and Lilia again, more or less. And Lilia will never get enough of a lead in the jungle to Hecarim, and they're just gonna get steamrolled in the late game. So just wanted to show how intelligently Down Gaming is drafting in those games. And even on blue side, I think red side is heavily favored because of all the counter picks you can get. But just looking how intelligently they draft, they get what they want, and they just by giving one quote unquote OP champ, they will know exactly what the enemy team is going to draft because they need prio and they need a AP jungler. So that was it for this video.